In this video, I'm going to show you how to move something in Blender. There are more complicated ways to do this, but I'm going to show you this easiest way to do this. Okay, so you go into animation. Over here, you have the camera views. This is everything that is going to be rendered for your final animations. You know what it's going to look like over here. Down here, you have your dope sheet. And these are your different markers over here that tell you how far along you are. These are your frames. Okay, so at the moment, the frame rate, it starts at 1, it ends at 250. Always want to think about how many frames you're going to want. Let's just move this to 50. Right, so now I'm going from here to here. If I use my ruler wheel, I can make that, I can stretch that out, right? So I can make it like that. So I'm going to go from now, rather than 240, I'm doing it at, ending it at 50. So it's going to be 50 different frames. If I go over here, as you can see, this is tells me about what's going on in the scene, my frame rate, right? I know starting, same thing, starting here, ending at 50. My frame rate is 22 frames per second. You can change that. You can leave it alone, whatever you want to do. That's a good way to start. All right, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it. And the way that Blender works is you put it in a starting position, you put your object at an ending position, and it does the math for you in between. Okay, so before we start this, why don't we just add a floor, scale it out, that, okay, and we will grab this up. Let's grab it in the Z direction, 1, and now I'm going to grab it in the X direction, put it over here. Okay, so I want this to be my starting. There's my camera right there, so that's what it's looking at. So this is going to start. So a really nice way to do this is you press record. Okay, you're going to take that, again, you're going to grab it. You're going to kind of just drop it back there. And it made all of my keyframes for me. So this is my starting position. Right, now I want to go to frame number 10. And again, I'm going to grab it. And I'm going to move it in the X direction. I want it to go here, right? Look at that. It's made me a new keyframe. And I want to scale it, right? And I'm going to grab it and move it up a little bit. So now if I go back here, you can see that Blender has done the math for me to go from there to make that bigger over here. Okay, so now I want to go, say I want to go over to 25 now. And now I'm going to, why don't I grab it, move it over like this. I'm going to rotate it kind of to here, and I'm going to scale it, make it nice and tiny. Okay, so now if I go over here, I can press the shift button and it shows me what it's doing. That pretty much is the basics as to how to do it. You get a lot more complicated. You can open this up. You have all sorts of transformations, all sorts of things like that you can do. But this is the very, very basics of, as long as you keep your record on, put where you want it to go, change your object, drop it. You can continue. You can actually add stuff in the middle too if you wanted to. If you wanted to do a little, what was that scale for there? Have to be in this one. So you can actually do a little something like that, right? So now it's really fun. So you got to press if you press play, you can see what it's doing, right? So that's the very basics of how to animate something. To export it, you go over here to the output. You have to find out where you want to put it. Make sure that you know where it's going. Put it in your documents, wherever you think you want it to go. Okay, maybe put it into a 3D model. Let's put it in there. Accept. And I do not want a PNG. I want an JPEG movie, so AVI file, right that. So I know where it's going. I know what format it's going to be. So now when I go to animate it, it's gonna go where I want it to go. So now I go over here to render. render animation. And you have to wait for it. It's going to take a while to do all that math. But just wait for it. And then when it's done, you're going to find the animation where you put it. Hopefully, it'll be AVI JPEG. And then you'll be able to view it. Okay, so that hopefully helps you out how to create an animation.